Good evening. I'm LaRoyce Bratsveen, the Artistic Director and founder of Iron Street Productions. And tonight I'm excited to present to you from the Generic Theater in Norfolk. The Generic Theater is located at the bottom of Chrysler Hall, and today I have the wonderful opportunity to bring to you all and discuss the Great American Trailer Park Musical. All right, and today we'll be speaking with the director of the show, Jeremiah Albers, and with Kathy Hinson and Tony Brach, who play Mr. and Mrs. Garstecki. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
One thing that I must say, when we had our annual reviewers meeting, one of the things that we took a look at was what everybody was doing, and this really popped out to me. And I mean, anytime you have American Trailer Park and a swig of wild turkey all in one sentence, it's got to be very interesting. First, I'd like to applaud the choice, because one of the things that I'm really glad to see is people taking risks and chances and doing other things outside of the norm when it comes to theater. So could you talk to us a little bit about why you picked this particular piece?
Well, this piece actually came to me a few years ago when I was doing work at 40th Street Stage, which is no longer around, and I wanted to do a production of Urinetown. And somebody on the peninsula was doing Urinetown, so we scrapped Urinetown, and somebody brought me this, and I was like, whoa, this sounds awful. But I got about halfway through it, and I called her, and I was like, this might be the best thing I've ever read. It's really funny, but it has really nice heart about it, and it's a really good satire without having a leer about it, you know? It's kind of pitch perfect the way that it's done, and I liked the way that it was willing to kind of walk that line without ever going too far over it.
There's a lot of truth in all stereotypes, and so I think it's important to be able to make, to poke fun at something, but not necessarily, downgrade it.
Right, exactly.
So I'm kind of curious to see what this is all about myself.
I actually had not heard this show before, but it had been mentioned, I'd heard of it before, and when I took a look at the music for it, which is always the first thing I do for a musical, I was like, oh yeah, any of these parts would be so much fun to delve into, because they're not just flat, normal characters that you would get the chance to do. They're all different. So Jeannie, the character that I play, is an agoraphobic housewife who has been trapped in her trailer for 20 years, which is awesome that I'm in this tiny little space for quite a long time. But she finally has to be forced out because of different changes in her life, which I'm not going to give away. But and it changes her more, I think, than the things around her. I
usually look for very quirky, odd characters to play outside of your normal Curly from Oklahoma and all that, because I like to be challenged. And although they're really classics and they're great to do, there's just so much dimension sometimes that you get out of those characters. And so to go and have this relationship with my wife that 20 years later things have really changed, and then something else pops into the picture that changes that relationship, and then something else, you really got a lot of levels to play. And even though it's not as dynamically funny, there are really quirky characteristics about this guy that comes across as if like, oh, I really feel bad for this dude. He's really caught between a hard place and a rock, literally, to say.
As far as challenges, there's a couple questions that I wanted to ask, because this is really a very different piece. So in your theater experience here locally, were there any special challenges for anybody doing something so out the norm as director or performers?
For me as a performer, I'm singing country.
Okay.
And I'm pretty legit Broadway style.
Okay.
And that was a challenge to bring my voice to a different range.
All right.
Yeah, that's probably the closest thing for me too. I have voice lessons. They're always, take the accent out, nothing this, nothing. And it's like, oh, put it back in. Okay, I'll try.
And honestly, I think Jeremiah really captured a lot of the essence of this show with everybody that he cast. Everybody's very unique, very talented, very dynamic in their own setting. And I think actually Jeremiah did a great job in capturing all of those characters to its truest effect.
Okay, good.
And as you probably know, directing shows, a lot of that is luck.
Yes.
It really is.
Let's talk about the space, because you guys were saying earlier how things are kind of flip-flop around this time for this particular show.
It's actually a rehearsal hall for upstairs, so they have converted it into a theater, rewired it for lighting and stuff, but it's not designed to be a theater. So as much flexibility as you have in here, it's very unique challenges. You'll notice all of our fencing and our curtains and our flats. Very difficult to block sight lines, and from a technical standpoint, it can be really challenging. But it's a really fun space to work in.
And what's also great about this space is that you are so intimate with your audience. They are right there on top of you, and the Generic has always had that kind of a
Yes.
theater.
Yes.
And that is so nice to be intimate with your audience.
But I think that's what makes this show a little more tactile and relatable for the audience, because we're not performing it, and we are really including them as part of this.
Okay.
This is life. This is what happens. Really happens. We may be making fun of it, but this has happened. We've all seen it on some horrible talk show, and it has happened. So I think that kind of will make it a little more relatable, even if they don't admit they relate to some of us.
Well, what are you trying to say? There's a little trailer park in
There's a
Ottawa.
lot of trailer
I
parks.
think so, yeah.
So yes, the Great American Trailer Park musical, directed by Jeremiah Albers and featuring Kathy Hinson and Tony Brach, is going to open October 21st. That's this weekend, and it's going to run through November the 20th. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday shows are at 8 p.m. and their Sunday matinee is at 2:30. For more information, you can go to their website at www.generictheater.org, or you can call them at 757-441-2160. Guys, thank you so much. This has been a lot of fun. I'm very